Everyone, Dustin Starling from ADP here. Real quick before I talk to my friend Scott here, we all know that 2020 wreaked havoc on the job market. Now employers are leaning towards that gig economy to kind of fill in those temporary or permanent job fillings for furloughs or just layoffs, right? In fact, Accenture actually said that 85% of executives are going to increase their use and demand of the gig economy this upcoming year. With ADP, we've got a fantastic solution called WorkMarket. I have my friend Scott here to kind of walk us through everything. But Scott, tell us about yourself and what you do.
Hey, Dustin. Yeah, so really appreciate your time today. So I've been with ADP WorkMarket pretty much since acquisition by ADP. We were previously a venture capitalist funded organization, and we were fortunate enough to be acquired by ADP. So I came on board as we kind of grew out the organization. Now we're an integral cog within the ADP kind of overall ecosystem. Been a really interesting journey, really enjoyed it over the past 2.5-ish years. Looking forward to seeing how we can grow this year as well.
Awesome, man. Yeah, so, I mean, tell us a bit more about WorkMarket. I mean, like, how does it work? Who does it help? And I guess what kind of benefits would it bring to employers?
Sure, yeah. So ADP WorkMarket, Justin, is a fully encompassing external workforce management system. So we're talking here about organizations who are leveraging a freelance, a 1099, independent contracted, a temporary-based workforce. And what we're helping organizations do is pretty much from cradle to grave with their engagements. So we're talking about here helping them automate the onboarding process of these folks, all the way to on the back end of these processes, automating the payments, reporting, and even the legal documentation filing at the end of the year. In between there, though, obviously there's a lot more workflows that need to go on to be successful in usage of this workforce.
Right.
We're talking about here about gaining visibility into who we have, where they are, and what they can do. Statements of work on a day-to-day basis around like operations and so forth. And then we even start to actually look at the quality of work that's being driven by these personnel as well.
That's awesome. So you really do help them find the talent, but also you mentioned as far as, the rating piece of it. I think that's a crucial piece of that. I guess, could you go into a little more about that as far as how that rating part works?
Sure. Yeah. So, when you think about a workforce, very hard today to gain kind of insights into the quality that a specific worker or even a group of workers drive for your organization. So what we do with ADP WorkMarket is because we hold all of the workers and all of the work that's actually flowing through your organization, what we can do is we can rate those workers on any statement of work or assignment or project that they actually carry out for you. So we can become that full system of record of not just housing the people and the work, but also understanding the outcomes and the quality of those outcomes that have been completed by the workforce.
That's awesome. Now, I guess to just make sure that, I mean, it's not ADP rating them, right? It's the end users, right?
Absolutely. So we provide organizations with the software solution to take care of all this. And the actual organization themselves is in control of all of the aspects that go on within the platform.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, I guess, like, why now? I mean, why is this becoming such a big thing? And why is this such an added benefit now to employers and businesses?
Yeah, it's a great question, Justin. So, as you kind of kicked off with, I think really, obviously, the environment we find ourselves in at the moment with COVID and everything, it's such a great time to maybe perhaps evaluate how your organization operates and the workforce that you're leveraging. So what I would say is, number one, straight off the bat, to become more cost effective in your usage of the workforce, being able to leverage an on-demand 1099 based one is always going to be a benefit in that sense. But what we'd also say is, obviously, to become agile in your operations, being able to leverage those folks in a true single system of record is going to be key. And then obviously, something else that we kind of highlighted with the quality driving of the solution is what we generally find is 1099 or external workers typically will drive a better outcome for your operations due to the fact that, this is their business, this is their livelihood, and they are looking for repeat work. They're looking to be continually leveraged by your organization. So what we do see is organizations that move to this type of workforce model actually drive a better quality within their operations.
That makes sense. I mean, actually, if I'm a 1099 contractor, I mean, like my livelihood is based upon my work. And what you find out, I imagine as well, I mean, referrals, word of mouth. I mean, that's how they grow their business. So I imagine that rating piece is quite key and crucial to them, but also the employer and the end user as well. But what about, like, if you hear the question as far as like, hey, look, I mean, I've got a really technical field. I work in the healthcare industry. I need people who are certified, whatever. I mean, like, how do we manage that piece? 'Cause I imagine that has to be a big liability, with the employers and everything else.
Absolutely. So listen, any worker that touches any organization's operations, whether they be W-2 based or 1099, you're going to want to know that they meet the criteria to actually carry out those operations. So as I mentioned, we are covering organizations' usage of this workforce from perhaps never even meeting or being involved with that person today, to obviously getting them paid and reporting on them on the back end. Within that onboarding process, what we're going to enable organizations to do is to set dynamic criteria onto the onboarding of any worker. And that means, and it could pertain to, depending on the industry, certifications, licenses, insurance documentation, geographical location. We can set any dynamic criteria onto any worker that is being onboarded into the solution, so that our software can take care of that onboarding for you and ensure the validity of any documentation that worker needs to provide to you to ensure that they can actually be leveraged in your operations.
That's great. Now I think about, like, there's a lot of certificates, whether it's CPR or forklift, that has to be renewed every couple of years. I mean, those certs and licenses will expire. And it's not just so much important to do it at the onboarding part, but also those continuing certifications. So just having that database to where it's going to continually update and let you know, hey, you're coming expired, whatever. I mean, what a great resource for employers who need that work done, knowing that they're getting a trained, certified, licensed person to show up at their work every day. Hey, Scott, thanks so much for your time. I'll kind of leave the floor to you if you got any, kind of last minute, messages for us. But I mean, thank you so much for your time. I think this has been great. And I'll leave the last word to you, sir.
Absolutely. Justin, really appreciate you having me on today. It's been great chatting with you. Always enjoy partnering with you over there in New Jersey. Looking forward to continually working with you.
Hey, thanks, Scott. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care. Talk soon. Bye.
Take care, guys.